Hello Tomorrow is partnering up with Deep Tech Atelier. A round of applause. Alberto, the stage is yours.
Speak? Yes, I just want to know where can I pass the slides, please? Thank you. First, I would like to say thank you to Lia for the invitation. This is not just the result of like a one-year collaboration. We have been working closely with Latvia. We have been receiving them at the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit, and we have been growing your deep tech ecosystems over the past few years. So it's a real pleasure for us actually to be here and to crystallize this partnership. So today I was invited basically to give you like a snapshot of what's going on the deep tech world and a bit the story of Hello Tomorrow. I know when we read the news every day, it seems that the future is challenging. We hear echoes of war around the corner. We see drastic changes into the economic structure, and thus could actually, of course, impact what's going on in the field of innovation. Nevertheless, we didn't want to take like a pessimistic approach to this, and we wanted to highlight basically the power of deep tech and the power of innovation and how the technologies that are going to solve the toughest challenges of the future are actually today in the market, and that's what we would like to be talking about to you today. First, I'm going to say is like some data about like European of deep tech. Investment in general in startups has decreased drastically over the last few years, but we developed actually a report this year to present the European state of deep tech in partnership with Dealroom. And what I wanted to highlight here is not just like a pessimistic vision, but actually quite a promising one. We are talking about an opportunity. If you see at the data, actually last year, deep tech investment surpassed like investment on traditional deep tech in the European ecosystem, going above fields like fintech or software technologies. We should see this actually as a challenge, not as a challenge, but basically as a promising future for what's going to happen with deep tech in the future. Within this context, in Hello Tomorrow, a couple of years ago, we had like a reflection. Maybe is the moment for us. We have tried to always position ourselves at the heart of the deep tech ecosystem. We are ecosystem builders at heart. Support what's going on, support like the breakthrough technologies and support like the breakthrough ecosystems. And we realized like organizing like networking activities and working with the corporate institutions was maybe not enough. So we had a reflection. We said like, we have been supporting more than 7,000 deep tech startups over the past 10 years. Some of them, that's what we call actually the deep tech pioneers, have selected up the top notch of the game. And we decided to make an analysis how these startups have been performing lately. So we realized that actually the return on investment for deep technologies compared to other traditional technologies and other ecosystems is actually like really, really high. And that's what at Hello Tomorrow we decided to create Deep Byte Ventures, which is a VC fund focusing on very early stage deep tech startups backed up by Hello Tomorrow to support our community. While doing this study, we made also some questions to our data that we have. We sourced and we scrapped the finalists and the top of the game of our community, and we surveyed around like 860 startups, deep tech startups, and with this, we realized that we actually some preconceptions about what innovation is. It's actually been completely disrupted. We asked ourselves, is software actually better than hardware, which is like the traditional question that you may ask for regular investors. And we realized that actually companies that are investing on physical products are performing much better than software technologies within the deep tech ecosystem. We also ask ourselves, like, are accelerators actually a proof of quality? This is a hard one, because I know probably some of you are actually working on an accelerators and have been doing this, but we realized that actually for deep tech and for deep tech technologies, being part of an accelerator program was actually not a proof of success. Again, this is not like a bad sign. This is a good sign. We just need to reshape the model, and that's what I want to explain a bit later. Within this context, we realized we cannot copy what innovation has been done until now. Deep tech is presenting a new paradigm. It's presented like a new scenario, and it's presented like new needs for the companies to thrive. We are facing like a new type of company that is facing like new challenges, and we realize that, for example, the kind of finance that these companies should be receiving is completely different. We should be talking about like blended finance, talking about like mixed grant, investment also for public institutions, for private VCs, and some of venture debt. We also realized that how investors were measuring risk is not applied for deep technologies. Deep technologies will thrive in the really long run, so maybe a step in the middle on a milestone, as we call like milestone-based risk opportunities, might be relevant in order to assess the potential of next generation of technologies. And also, and that's what I was mentioning before, smart accelerators. We need to get out and we need to get rid of these like programs where startups basically follow our traditional curriculum, because deep tech, it's really diverse. We need to create like a technology focus and COO or owner focus accelerators where we can actually bring a tailor-made support for the actual needs of these startups. This is something that we see today, for example, with the approach that actually the EAC is doing to the EAC portfolio, where basically they have like a really highly tailor-made support for the part of the portfolio. But next to this, if we want to see what's going on in the future of European deep tech, that's what I was explaining before. We realized within this paradigm, Hello Tomorrow developed first our event to connect the greatest minds and discuss what's going to happen in the future. Second, we decided to create a consulting part to basically being able to bring our knowledge and tech expertise to corporates, but also we work a lot actually with public institutions and innovation agencies in order to help them understand, position, and make their ecosystems thrive. And lately, we decided to develop like our deep tech fund in order to be able to support the whole DIM ecosystem and keep remaining a relevant player within the deep tech sphere. And if we put that within the European context, if we have a snapshot which is going out in Europe at the moment, Europe holds actually some of the most powerful research institutions in the world. More than 40% actually, four in the top 10 are actually based in Europe. In addition, some of the top best universities are also here. And another significant aspect about like a European policy and how European deep tech is working is like they are usually addressing SDGs and challenges that are going to solve the future of technology. Why shouldn't do that? And why shouldn't do that? Because actually, when we realize that if we want to reduce by 50% in 2050 the emissions of CO2, the solutions that we are going to need to use are actually still on the lab. So it's great to also focus on this. But at the end, when we see like the other side of the spectrum, where we are not just looking at startups, we're also looking at scale-ups, we realize that only 5% founders from European unicorns are actually focusing on deep tech. Why it's this? While Europe has like the most, it's a powerhouse of talent, it's a powerhouse of innovation, and it's a powerhouse of technology. Because we are lacking a bit, for example, what is happening in the US, a more like dynamic, risk-averse investment scenario, but we see that things are changing. We see that things are changing at the European level, but we see that things are changing actually also in Latvia. And I want to put like Latvia as an example, because for me, we are seeing like the Latvian momentum that should be replicated also around like Europe, and it could become the European momentum. Like a smaller ecosystem where you are able to put deep tech on the political agenda as a priority of the country development, it's what makes things thrive and advance fast. At Europe, we are of course like talking about like a larger institution, a larger organization, and a more complex scenario. But of course, we should see the example of what's going on, for example, in Estonia. We should see the example of what's going on in Latvia. We should see the example of the Baltics. Be agile, be able to connect, involve your whole ecosystem, because without an ecosystem, deep tech won't be able to thrive and will go somewhere else. You need to keep the technology in-house, and you need to keep the talent in-house. So deep tech is actually giving us an opportunity. I have like this really nice phrase that actually our communication department wrote for me. But basically, in a fragmented world of deep tech, gives us a common mission to solve the unsolvable and to build the unthinkable. And this is like my sum up actually for today. Keep this phrase, use it, and think about like this over these 2 days of conversations. We have people for more than 50 nationalities present here. Make sure to use your time to make connections. Make sure to learn about the Latvian ecosystem for the people that are coming from abroad. For the Latvian ecosystem, make sure to connect and to prove and to see what's going on abroad, and give, not just, don't go back with 50 more followers on LinkedIn. Give with actionable solutions that you're going to implement. So thanks a lot for this partnership. This is like the beginning of a really nice story. We will see a big Latvian delegation at the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit next year in Amsterdam. And we are really happy to see and to discover more over these 2 days of conference on how deep tech will actually power the future and become like a powerhouse of Europe. Thanks a lot.